Welcome, book lovers, to another episode of Storytime, brought to you by Timothy Bateson. Each episode features the work of an awesome author from the fantasy, urban fantasy, or science fiction genre. This time, I'm excited to bring you Born of the Veil by fantasy author Cheryllynn Dyess. So, without further ado, it's time to pull up a chair and plug in your headphones, because Storytime begins in 3, 2, 1. Coming to in my bed at the log cabin, I hold my head from the intense throbbing. I feel as though I drank an entire bottle of vodka the night before, with no food or water to counteract the effects. A glass of water is soon in my vision, and again it is Michael who is there. What's going on? Where is Xavier? I managed to choke out. The water was now calling to me. Sipping slowly, I felt my throat being quenched from the insane dryness it had succumbed to. He had to leave. He told me to take care of you, Michael said as he accepted my empty glass. Leave? Where is he? I start to sit up in the bed. My head swims and I fall back onto the pillow. What happened to me? When I was trying to get you to leave, it was because of the spell that the witches were doing. I've seen it done one other time, leaving every person in the room unconscious. They were altering the minds of those men, making them believe that the house was no longer appealing. In the most frightening ways, they made it so the dwarfs will never want to return. He gave a small smile. Quite clever those girls are. I nodded. They are smart. So, Xavier? He went to speak to Jameson about this. Since he was the lead, Jameson insisted on seeing him in person for the report, he said very robotically, as if rehearsed. I looked around, feeling the anger swell up inside me. Why is it he always has to leave? And to myself I mumble, that can be dangerous. He gave a wink as he stood, and walked towards the door. Looking back at me, he said softly, he'll be back in a few days. Until then, you have me for company. Then he washed over me a feeling of safety and contentment. I fell back to sleep, thankful for the rest. It was 3 days later before I heard from Xavier. Michael and I had been training on how to hone my skills. I have been seeing the dead very regularly since Xavier left, and we wanted to see all that I was capable of. It was not until one of the dead finally spoke did I say anything to Michael. They do not normally speak to me. I was angry and confused. It said the dark is coming. What the hell is that supposed to mean? I do not know. Maybe there is a bad ghost who is planning on making an appearance, Michael said with some sadness. Fear enveloped me. It has been so long since a demon bothered me in my sleep, and I was not looking forward to that happening again. I thought the witches warded off the houses from spirits. How can they still appear? I was confused and scared that the demons would once again rake at my soul for sheer pleasure. Chewing on his lip, his face showed concern and deep thought. I do not think the spell works for your protection, since this is essentially your gift. That night, I slept on the couch in front of the fireplace. 2 heavy blankets covered me as the fire crackled and licked at the air. Michael slept on the floor next to me. He said he could feel my fear and was worried. That night the darkness did come. I dreamt of nothing at first, then suddenly was met with fierce growls. I thought it was a dog in my dreams. I grumbled and kicked my feet as I rolled over. I felt the bottom of the blankets begin to tug and pull away from me. I pulled back while saying, "Stop," in my sleep. I kicked my feet again at the bothersome actions interrupting my sleep. It continues. Half awake I looked down at my feet, seeing a dark mass with blood-red eyes trying to crawl up my blanket while pulling it to him. The growling gets louder. I'm so frightened that my body and voice are heavy like stone, unmovable. I swallow hard. The demon is up to my knees now. I must do something, my mind screams at me while the panic rises from inside. Suddenly, with a burst of life that I did not know I held, I sit straight up. I speak the words I was taught by my mum. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost, be gone and never return, demon. Instantly it vanished. Wisps of black smoky matter lingered as it slowly dissipated into nothingness. Michael woke with my words, looking around. He saw the demon as it dissipated. He looked at me with most fearful eyes. The darkness, that was the darkness. A damned demon. I sit there trembling on the couch as the realization sinks in that a demon tried to attack me. Thinking of my mum, I give a silent prayer up to her, thanking her for teaching me what she said one day I may need. I stutter out, Why? Why would a demon attack me? I have had many attempts in the past, but never this intense. He attempts to calm me, but it did not work this time. No amount of magic could calm the nerves that rattled within me on this night. I looked down at him. I have not had a demon be so aggressive before. I do not understand why. This has happened before. He was full of concern. He grabbed my face and holds it within his palms, bringing his forehead to meet my own, then sighs. I did not sleep for 2 days, and it would be another 2 days before Xavier returned. Michael was on the phone with Jameson and Iona several times trying to figure out why I was attacked. No one knows the answer, and chalks it up to my gifts. It was the night before Xavier was scheduled to return when I finally felt safe enough to sleep again. I knew I could not go to my room or be alone, so I searched out the only safety within my grasp. "Michael, can I sleep with you?" I asked as I stood nervously in his doorway. He looks at me and smiles, and pats the bed next to him. "I will even be a perfect gentleman. Come and rest, Tara." He pulls the covers back and lets me crawl in. I curl up in his arms. "Sleep well, beautiful," were the last words I heard. The feeling of being held allows me to unravel my bundled nerves, and soon I am sleeping. My dreams were of the mountains, somewhere I am not familiar with. I look around and realize that Michael is in my dreams. He smiles at me and walks away. I follow. There is a stream where he goes and sits. "I brought you here to be with me. I thought that if I was in your head tonight, then the demons would leave you alone." The movements feel like they are blurred from one moment to the next. "You are in my dream? How?" I ask, looking around at the grassy land and slow-moving stream, where I see 2 fishing poles lying beside the bank. When I sleep, I project my thoughts to you, the way I do with emotions. I hope this helps you rest. Picking up the poles, he passes one over to me. Looking at it in my hand, it reminds me of when I was younger, and a smile creeps onto my face. Sitting beside me, we fished, but caught nothing. I believe the motion of the activity is what distracted me from worry. His hand would graze mine on occasion, sending heat rushing to my cheeks. I would steal glances at him when I thought he was not looking. He never left my side. He seems to always be my support when the man I love is not. We talked about many things, but of nothing with importance. He looks at me one last time, then says as gently as a spring breeze, "It's time to wake up, sweetheart." When I open my eyes, I see that I am in Michael's arms in his bed. I look around and pull away. "Thank you for helping me rest. That was a perfect night's sleep." I give a thankful smile, but my tone was full of embarrassment. "How about some breakfast?" "My treat." He sat up on one elbow, watching me, moving a stray hair behind my ear. He allowed his hand to linger there while looking at me. "I am glad I was able to give you peace. I will always be willing to help you, always willing to be there for you. As for breakfast, that would be perfect. I'll join you shortly." Every story featured on Storytime appears with the author's permission. If you have enjoyed this sample of Born of the Veil by Cheryllynn Dyess, be sure to check out the show notes for details of how to find more of her work. Follow the links to purchase your own copy and find out what happens next. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe so you never miss an episode.